here from Eclectic Images. Thanks for joining me today. Today's card is going to be a bubbly birthday card using some watercolour paints and some of my stamps to make the bubbles. Now let's have a look at our stamps that we'll be using. So to start with, I've got an image from the Beati, it's called Chill Time, the set. It's from the Fun in the Sun range. And we're just going to use the cocktail glass out of that one. Then out of Eclectic stamps, we'll be using some greetings out of both the birthday set and the numbers set. And then the circle out of the geometrics set and some of the circles out of the circles outline, which are all very similar width so that they can work together. The stamping will be with Versify and Claire Nocturne. And the colouring is going to be with the Gansai Tambi paints. Now for this, I've got the 48 set and I've picked out colours from there and already put a drop of water on them to activate them, colours that I want to use. And I've done a swatch chart on the inside of the lid so I can easily see what colours I want, and those are the ones I've got ready. Okay, so what we're going to do to start with is to make our bubbles. So what I've done is I've put a drop of water just with a pipette, just on a drop of water onto the colours that we want to use. And now I've got just a tile here next to me, and I'm going to pick up some colour off these paints and put them onto the tile. But I will need to clean my brush between because I'll get so much colour on my brush. So I will need to give that a clean between colours a bit. Now we'll pick up some of the rose madder.
What can people use if they don't have a tile?
Oh, just a plate, or I could use my glass mat or a Teflon mat. Any of those waterproof substrates, is that what you call them? Waterproof surfaces. So yeah, tile, plate, or one of your normal work mats. Let's grab some turquoise.
Like me, I'm a work mat.
You're a working mat. Okay. Now we might just see the amount of colour that's coming off my brush. And I'm giving it a bit of a rinse in some water as well. I'm just going to grab a bit more of the rose madder and just put that over this side as well. Okay. Clean the brush so that it's ready for me to do some blending because I want it to be nice and clean for that. So I'm giving the brush a squeeze as I just run it back and forth on the paper towel until it looks nice and clean. And then I'm just going to get a fresh bit of paper towel because I'll need to keep that brush clean as we work. Now, so my stamps I've got. Now I'm working on the Cotton Blend cardstock, just 210 GSM. I've got the circle from the Geometrics, and I've got my other two circles standing by. So what I'm going to do is just spritz that, and there's one paint mess that I created earlier. So I'm just going to spritz that to reactivate it and give this one a spritz to get it moving. And then I grab the stamp and actually, just move the paints to one side a bit, actually smoosh it around in that paint a bit, and then we pop it onto our card. And you get that, which is quite splendid really. Let's grab another one. I might do one up here. And I'll just let that rest for a moment and do some colouring, and I'll come back and add another one. So now to colour it, I'm going to tease the inside edge with my water brush, let it flow into the circle, and then I'll just clean my brush, grab a bit of water and just smoosh in and let that flood a bit. And I will need to keep turning my card around because I definitely don't want to go to the outside edge. I want all the lovely bubbly smudgy stuff coming to the inside of the card. Inside of the circle. It's not the card, it's a circle. Now if I find I'm not getting any movement, I can always pick up a bit off my palette and actually add a bit myself in there. Let some colours blend together. Now I'm a little bit fussy that I don't like watercolour lines, so I'm just going to add a bit more water in there and just soften those and let them smush a bit more. That I like. If I get a bit of lines, that's okay, because that is the nature of watercolours. Now, when I did a sample of this card, I actually coloured each bubble straight away after I stamped it. And now this time I'm trying, how do we go if we let them dry a bit? And I feel it is actually better if I do the colouring as soon as I've stamped it down. So next time, rather than doing 2 bubbles at a time, I'll just do 1 and stop and colour it, just because it's a little bit harder to pick up colour. To get that, sorry, not to pick up colour, but it's a bit harder to get that colour to move if it's already started to dry. And now if I get a little bit of smudging outside the edges, I could try and tease that back a bit and just blot it out. Or I could not worry about it and just leave it be a little fun bit of bubble.
That's where you attach the string to the balloon.
No, it's not balloon though.
Oh, it's a bubble.
It's just a bubble.
It's about to burst.
Okay, so we're going to do another one. Now I'll give my stamp a little bit of a clean there because, sorry, that was a little bit close. I'm going to dip into the other well of colour, which has got a bit of green in there as well as blues and purples. That may not have been wet enough. Let me just give it a little bit of a spritz and just pick that up again. Okay, now let's do this one down here. Now, with the nature of watercolour paints, if I actually let these ones dry, I could then overlap another bubble over the top of it and it wouldn't smudge together. Yeah, see, that's bleeding out much easier because it's fresher and wetter. Again, just keep turning your card. And if you're not getting enough, add a little bit of actual paint in there. It does seem to be the blue that's not reactivating as easily for me. See how I've got a line there? So I clean my brush, grab a bit of extra water, smudge it on and let it do a bit of bleeding in itself. Aren't they cool? I just love it. I've seen it done with people using a glass. So they pick up a tumbler and put that in it. But I thought, I've got these different sizes of circle stamps. They should work really well. And they do. So switching now to the smallest, the smaller circle, but it's actually the largest in the circle set. So tease that out, get a bit of water and just push it into the edges. Let's do another one. We might do one of that colour combination up the top here. I'm just going to pop that one onto my cleaning pad. Let's do some teasing. So you do get some interesting colour combinations happening, which I really like, just seeing what happens. And I have to keep remembering to clean my brush before I put it into my glass of water because I really want that glass to stay with clean water. And these colours are so vibrant. Now let's switch to, this one is in our set. So we've used that one and I'm now switching to this size here. Okay, poor Matthew, I hope he's keeping up with all this. Let's do a nice purpley one in there. You didn't get any blue. Let's just give that reactivated a bit. Oh, that's a cute one. clean my brush, grab a bit of water, bit of a smudge, and then let it. These are watercolour paints, so you do have to just walk away and let them do their own thing. I'm going to try doing an overlap. Hopefully the underneath one is dried enough. Clean, bit of fresh water. So if we get a bit of a line showing through from the bubble underneath, it'll actually make it look more translucent. Now I do think we need several more of these little ones. I don't know where to put it. I'm sort of going to do the glass here. I need to leave a little bit of room for a greeting. Maybe we'll just go up the top there. And then I'll have to look at how many bubbles I've got, because an odd number is going to look better than an even number. I like that. Okay. Sometimes you just got to say stop there and move on to the next bit. So the next bit is to get our little champagne glass and our Nocturne ink. And I'll stamp that down the bottom, but on a bit of an angle so it looks a bit jaunty. So my imagining is that all these bubbles of bubbly are coming out of this lovely bubbly drink.
So they're actually champagne bubbles. Oh, I can't say that, can I? Bubbly,
no, that's why I'm just saying
bubbles.
bubblies, because we can't say champagne bubbles.
Well, we can. We perhaps imported it from France.
Maybe I did.
From Champagne.
Maybe I did. Okay, let's get a bit of colour in here. So we'll grab some yellow, and this is because I've got paint here, I can work straight off that palette that I created. A little bit of where there's a bit of orange happened there. Now what colour shall we make our drink? What if it's shades of purple and pink? I don't know what cocktail that would be.
Potent.
Potent, yes. What's perfect? Purple parfum noir?
Sounds good to me.
Let's grab some pink. Now I think from the picture that bit around the top of the glass there is where they've put salt or sugar on the glass, so I'm going to leave that light. But we'll add a bit of pink there where the drink is foaming up a little bit, ready to release more bubbles. Whoa, look at that. Now I'm just going to come in with my extra fine brush and just pick up a little bit of blue, just to give the glass itself a little bit of colour, but not too much. I just want to give it a hint of something. Just so it doesn't look forgotten. Okay, so there's our card starting to take shape. Now the other thing that I want to be able to do on the bubbles is add some highlights. Now this can be done with something like a white gel pen. I've actually got a sample, because that needs to dry a bit. I've actually got one that I had done earlier, and I've already added some white highlights to this one. And I've done that with the Kuretake white ink. And I like it because it gives a definite white. I do find with gel pen that it often picks up some of the underlying colour. You've almost got to do 2 layers of it. So this was nice that it stayed white, although because I put it on fairly thick, it has done a little bit of a crackle effect. So once this one's dry, I'm going to do that with the gel pen, and let us see how that looks. But while we're waiting on that to dry, let's create a background card, because we've got all this yummy watercolor just sitting on our tile, and I hate to waste things like that. So I'm going to give it another spritz, and then I'm going to get a backing bit of card and wipe it through and create some interesting patterns, and then this will get layered. Oh, it's running away on the table on me. This will get layered over the top of that interesting background. So let me just dip. And we'll do another dip. So it doesn't need to, I'm looking at what effect I'm getting around the edges, because that's what's going to show. So if I've got a bit of an edge there that's not covered, let's add a bit more colour to it. And we definitely need some more across the top here. Sorry, I'm doing this facing it back towards me instead of facing it towards you. I'm going to flip this one back over this way so you can see when it comes up and see the effect. Get a bit more blue in there. Maybe get some of the greeny tones in there as well. Let's give that a bit more spritz there. We might wipe this bottom edge in that bit. Oh, that's good. So we just need a bit more on that bottom edge, I think. Better. Let's just do a final scraping all the way along and see how much colour we can actually just pick up and make look interesting. But we're starting to make mud there, so I think I've done about enough. I don't want to make total mud on the card. Okay, so we put that to one side to dry. I'll put my tile to one side and I'll come back and give that a wash in a minute. I'm not going to get more prints from that because they are starting to just bleed in together. So let's go back to this card. I might just give my heat gun. I like to let watercolours just dry, but because we need to speed this up a bit, just going to grab the heat gun. And give that a bit of an extra dry so that we can then add the white over the top. And sorry, Matthew, I just ran away completely then. So let's try this one with the gel pen. There it is. I popped it at the front there, didn't I? Okay. So where am I going to do my highlights? That last time I did my highlights on the right-hand side. I'm going to try them on the left-hand side this time. So I've got to look for where there's a little bit of underlying colour where the highlights are going to show up. So holding the card down flat there. I often find I need to run my gel pen off on a bit of scrap paper first just to get it running. Add it, tag, and then now this one might not show a lot where the initial highlight is, but then if I drag it down here into the pink, we'll get a bit more showing. This one should be quite good. So you can do a mixture of lines, you can flick, you can do dashes and dots until you get that highlight effect. This one will show up really good. So pop a bit of ink on. But yeah, I might have to come back and just go over this again if it picks up too much of the underlying colour, because we want it to stay a white highlight. And we can go around the top of that glass, but also to add maybe a little highlight just in the drink, just to make that look a bit more interesting too. So there we go. Matthew might be able to get a close up there to see those highlights. Are we picking up on them? Yep, good. Okay, now let's move on to back to our, I've already prepared this one earlier card, and I'm going to stamp in a greeting. So I've got my numbers set, And we're going to stamp 21st and then just wishes. But I'm going to stamp the ST of the 21st first, because if I stamp 21, I might not then be able to fit this on. So I'm actually going to work backwards. So there's our ST. Then we grab our number 1. And you know how I often say, this is where a stamp platform's really good, because so many times you put so much work into your card and then you muck it up when you do the greeting. Where's my stamp platform? So now I'm having to go over that again and try and line it up and try and not spoil my card.
Oh, and I've got as tight a close-up as I can.
Oh, you nasty.
To show your perfection.
To show the perfection. Well, it's not perfection, but it's okay. Make sure I got that one stamped properly. 21st. And if it's a bit wiggly, well, that's okay. We've been drinking bubbles, haven't we? Now, I'm just going to grab the wishes stamp off the birthday set. And we'll pop that in below. 21st wishes. Awesome. That's a great set, that number set, because you can just make it work for any birthday. It's got the D, the TH, ND and SC, so you can just put any combination of numbers. Okay, so we've got our 21st wishes, looking really cool. We've got our background card. Has it dried enough to put us together? I think it has. So let's just grab some double-sided tape quickly. Says me, quickly, can't find the end of the tape. How often does that happen? I reckon all the time. That is a very cool background. And totally random. You would never get one the same as it again. Okay. Now I'm just going to have a look at what my borders were. In fact, I'll do this with the card upside down, so I can just have a look at how much borders I've allowed. Okay. So about there. Oh wow. I am in love. Oh dear, this is fabulous. This is so much how I wanted it to turn out. Oh Matthew, stop laughing over there. I'm allowed to be excited over a card. Okay, so that's our Loads of Bubbles 21st Wishes card. I hope you like the technique there. I think I'm going to be doing this one quite a bit because that was a lot of fun. Thank you for joining me today, and we'll see you again next time.